People came to witness a wedding that was meant to be perfect, but that wedding never happened. The music played, the guests stood up, and the cameras faced the door. The bride was supposed to walk in, but she didn't. She never came out of her dressing room, and the last 3 people who saw her all claimed they loved her. My name is Lucy. I was the wedding planner. I had planned that wedding for 6 months straight. Every seat, every flower, every second of music. The bride, Kemi Olowo, was gentle and decent. Everyone loved her. Her groom, Denzel Austin, was the kind of man people respected. Calm, polite, soft-spoken, and completely devoted to her. He had money, but he didn't show off. When he looked at Kemi, you could tell he adored her. That morning, he walked up to me and said, "Lucy, thank you. You made her dream come true." Inside the dressing room, the mood was bright. Kemi was almost ready. Ify, the makeup artist, was dusting powder on her cheeks. Her best friend Tola was pinning the veil. And Bisi, Denzel's ex, now family friend, was leaning near the mirror, pretending to be busy on her phone. I didn't understand why Bisi was there, but Kemi said it was fine. "She's moved on," she told me. "There's no problem." Before I left the room, Kemi touched my arm. She said softly, "Lucy, after today, peace will finally start." Her hands were shaking, so I reminded her to keep her inhaler close. She smiled and said, "Denzel bought me a new one yesterday." He worries too much. That was the last time I saw her standing. By noon, the choir started singing. The guests stood up, but just when everyone turned toward the doors, we heard a scream. A bridesmaid ran into the hallway shouting, "Auntie Lucy, the bride is missing." I ran straight to the dressing room. The chair was on the floor. The veil was torn. Her phone was blinking. Everything, shoes, bouquet, purse, was still there, but the bride was gone. A few minutes later, Denzel ran in. He looked lost, panicking, calling her name. He started dialing everyone: security, police, family. When Kemi's mother started crying, he knelt beside her and said, "Ma, I promise you I'll find her." Maybe she just stepped out for air. He stayed by her side, calm but worried. The police arrived. The lead investigator, Mrs. Hassan, asked everyone what they saw, who went in and out of the dressing room. 3 names came up: Bisi, Tola, and Ify. They were the only people who had entered before Kemi vanished. Bisi sat alone by the buffet table, her red dress creased, makeup half gone. When the officer approached, she quickly adjusted her posture. "You were seen near the bride's room at 11:45, Mrs. Hassan said. "Why?" Bisi looked down. "I just wanted to pray for her." "Pray for her?" the officer repeated. Bisi nodded fast, but her eyes said otherwise. Then one of the bridesmaids whispered that Bisi and Kemi had argued at the salon 2 days ago. When Mrs. Hassan mentioned that, Bisi snapped. "I only warned her." She didn't listen. The whole room froze. "Warned her about what?" the officer asked. Bisi's voice dropped. "About marrying Denzel. About making the same mistake I made." Everyone exchanged glances. Her words were bitter, her tone sharp. People began whispering. Maybe she still wanted him back. She rubbed the pale line on her finger where a ring used to be and said quietly, "He promised me forever." Nobody missed that. By evening, most guests already believed Bisi had a hand in it. Then there was Tola, the best friend. She looked restless, clutching her purse like it contained her secrets. Mrs. Hassan showed her Kemi's phone. One bridesmaid whispered that Tola and Denzel had become unusually close during planning. Late night texts, private errands. People started whispering. When the officer asked, "Did you ever love Denzel?" Tola's eyes dropped. "It doesn't matter now," she said softly, but everyone could tell it did. The murmurs grew louder. People started calling her the jealous friend. Finally, there was Ivy, the makeup artist. She looked scared, like she already knew her name was next. She was fine when I left, she kept repeating. She said she needed a moment alone. But her story had holes. Someone said they saw her walking out with a small pouch. Later, police found that pouch empty. Rumors started that she might have helped Kemi run away. Others said she was paid to do something worse. Ify kept crying, begging people to believe her, but the more she cried, the more guilty she looked. By nightfall, everyone was talking. The ex, the best friend, the makeup artist. Each one had a motive, each one had a secret, and every finger pointed at them. Meanwhile, Denzel stayed calm. He worked with the police, offered rewards, and didn't sleep for 2 days. But I couldn't stop thinking about that day. Something in my mind kept saying it wasn't right. 2 days later, I went back to the hotel to pack the rest of Kemi's things for her mother. The dressing room was still sealed, but the manager let me in for a few minutes. The place was quiet now. No flowers, no perfume, just silence. While gathering her jewelry box, I noticed a small makeup pouch on the table. It had Ify's initials on it. I almost called her to come get it, but changed my mind. I just put it inside the box with the rest of Kemi's belongings. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I was tired, my head full, and I just wanted to get home. The next morning, my phone rang early. It was Mrs. Hassan. "Lucy," she said, "please come to the station. The lab results on Kemi's inhaler are out." When I arrived, she didn't waste time. "That inhaler didn't have medicine," she said. "It contained a sedative strong enough to shut down the lungs in seconds." My heart dropped. They decided to question Ify again, since she was the one who had given Kemi the inhaler. Mrs. Hassan said, "We called her this morning. She said she'll come tomorrow." "She doesn't sound well." I left the station, my mind spinning. When I got home, I started unpacking Kemi's jewelry box. And that's when I saw Ify's pouch again. Something told me to open it this time. Inside were 3 things: a folded sheet of paper, a small memory card, and a heavy lipstick tube. I opened the paper first. It was a receipt from Heart Rich Health Initiative, Kemi's late father's charity. The amount written there was shocking. Millions. At the bottom, there was a signature. At first, I didn't recognize it. Then, I flipped the paper over and saw the company name, Austin Consults Limited. My hands went cold. I slotted the memory card into my laptop. Within seconds, the screen filled with documents, invoices, account transfers, coded spreadsheets. It all led back to Denzel. That was when everything started making sense. Denzel had never really been a random groom. He was a tech consultant, yes, smart, neat, always traveling. But that company he ran, Austin Consults, wasn't just doing tech. It was a shell for laundering money. He worked with drug dealers and corrupt politicians, helping them move money through fake medical donations. When he met Kemi, it wasn't love, it was opportunity. Her father's charity had international accounts, connections abroad, clean papers that could move millions without suspicion. Marrying her gave him full access. He could sign documents, use her family name, and make the money trail look legal. Kemi must have discovered the truth. Maybe she saw something she wasn't supposed to. Maybe she tried to confront him, and he couldn't risk that. He used the same love that built her trust to destroy her. He replaced her inhaler himself, smiling while he killed her slowly. The next day, I returned to the station before Ify arrived. Mrs. Hassan was still reviewing reports. I told her everything, the receipt, the files, the memory card. She didn't even blink. "Keep quiet about it for now," she said. "Let's see what she says first." When Ify finally came in that afternoon, Mrs. Hassan went straight at her. She placed the inhaler on the table. Ify, we already know what this is, she said firmly. You better tell us the truth. Ify froze. Her hands shook. Then she broke down. Through tears, she said Denzel had been sponsoring her salon for years. Rent, supplies, everything. The morning of the wedding, he told her Kemi might panic and asked her to keep a spare inhaler ready. He gave her the one himself. She thought it was harmless. When Kemi started breathing fast, she handed it to her. 2 puffs later, Kemi collapsed. Ify said Denzel ran in almost immediately. He told her not to shout, said he'd handle it privately. He promised her money if she kept quiet. She believed him. That was how Kemi disappeared. He had moved her to a private clinic before anyone could suspect him. When Mrs. Hassan confronted Denzel with the documents from the memory card, he didn't deny it. He just said quietly, "It wasn't supposed to go that far. I only wanted her calm, but we both knew what that meant. He wanted her silent, not calm." 2 days later, Kemi woke up. She was weak but alive. Denzel was arrested a week after that, charged with fraud, forgery, and attempted murder. The man everyone admired had been the monster behind the whole chain. Now, whenever I plan weddings and see a groom smiling too perfectly, I remember that day. Because I've learned something about evil. It doesn't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes it sits beside you, holds your hand and says, "Trust me."